What's up, everybody? All right, time for my second live stream in just really it's like 2 days. It's kind of just something that I find like really fun to do, even though like I'm a very, small channel where there's not many, actual like viewers yet. And most people that end up watching me like afterwards. I just think it's fun to like go live, ask questions and kind of like get some stuff back. So if you're watching this stream, send me some questions if you have any. I kind of just want to talk about really business as a whole and just kind of like, get into everything. I'm going to go share the link on my social medias real quick. And I'm also sorry about like camera quality. My webcam is not the best, and I haven't really thought about getting a new one because normally like all the stuff I do is audio or writing because most of the like actual work I do is for my podcast or from like my personal blog. But I'm gonna go share this to my social media. Hopefully we get some viewers. I think I did it. Okay, we're good. So if you're watching, just like send questions if you have any. But really like stuff that's going on in the business world that I find really interesting right now is I think the most interesting thing going around in business is virtual reality right now. And to explain why I think this, think about, like Facebook, right? Facebook bought Oculus and is trying to create, all these like new like virtual reality headsets and all these new games. Like he's partnered with a bunch of different, like game developers, and they're going out there and they're building this community around VR. And because he has like Facebook has all the game developers on their side, they have a huge advantage over anyone else that is getting into virtual reality. But Apple, who has pretty much infinite money at this point, is also trying to get into the virtual reality world, essentially. And even though Facebook has a huge head start because of all the work they did building the Oculus Store and the connections they have with other companies like Samsung, Apple has a ton of money, and with a ton of money, you can hire like the best people and you can catch up pretty fast. I think I believe the Oculus headset, like the newest one that just came out, is out for like $100 to like $200. No, 200. No, it's $300 to $400, and which is still a lot, but considering like what it is, like a new technology. Also, look at the competition. Like Sony's like pretty expensive. Like Samsung's is pretty expensive. Like they're really doing, for the most part, they're creating virtual reality headsets that like anyone can use. Like anyone can go out there and buy a headset. I think they're also trying to turn like the VR headset into something like, the PlayStation, the Xbox. Like not really something like that, but like their market. Like, it's going to be like for people, like especially right now, it's going to be for people like more interested in like, video games and stuff like that, who can actually go like play the games, but on a new system, which is the Oculus. But it seems like Apple is trying to like skip ahead a little bit because it's rumored that their headset is going to be around, like $2,000 to $3,000, which is significantly more expensive than the $400 headset that Samsung's putting out. And I really, no, not Samsung, sorry, that like Oculus is putting out. And I really do wonder how that's going to go. Like, are people going to be willing to pay, thousands of dollars for like most likely like superior technology, or like technology is featured in a different way? And really, how is like Facebook going to like compete with that? Because it's very like obvious. Like even I believe it was like yesterday actually, Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, went on a podcast and he was talking about how he believes personally that virtual reality is going to be the next big like technological field. Like virtual reality is going to be everything essentially. And when you look at what Apple is doing, that has to scare Facebook just a little bit, you would think, and I feel like it's going to make them try to make the technology quicker, because they've been working on tons of stuff that they're not releasing because they don't think the market's actually there yet. And when we see Apple getting into it, it's really going to be interesting to kind of see how that develops and really like how that grows from there. And that's one thing going on in business right now that is actually like fascinating me. I really want to see how virtual reality as a market develops. I really want to see how it like changes into something. Like if Zuckerberg is correct that it's going to be, at one point people are using virtual reality as much as they're using like this computer, even like this cell phone. it's really going to be interesting to like see how that happens, and if it does happen, what company is actually like controlling that shift forward. Will it be Facebook as like they're banking on, or will Apple be able to do it? I think a smart move by Apple because they're already doing like so much right now. Like they have obviously they have the technology going, they have their streaming services coming, they have music services, and it's gonna be really interesting to see how they get into like this new market and like see how that really develops as a like see how the market really develops and it really does become the next computing platform. Like obviously I do actually have a virtual reality headset myself, and I think virtual reality is something that's like really fun. And like they're talking about how it's gonna get to the point where it's like if you're hanging out with your friends, instead of actually like going over to your friend's house, you can just put your headset on, they put their headset on, and it's gonna be essentially like you teleport to your friend's house and be essentially like you just like pop up there. And I think that's gonna be really interesting to see how that pans out and if it really should like pan out. But like once again, like if you're listening, if you want, you can like send questions. Like I'll try to answer them. If there's something going on in business that you think is really interesting, like you can put it there. I really do just like simply just like enjoy talking about business. Like when it comes to like my business and what like the stuff that I'm working on, as like a lot of I created a marketing page called the CWT store. And with that, I am developing, tons of different like products. Like some of them are not really yet, but it's like I'm getting into like products that like I personally am gonna like create and start. Like I want to start my own business and use the website to like develop those. But right now, most of the work that I'm doing is with small businesses and different startups who created like a new product or created a new service, but wants to get it out to the world. So if you're a small business owner and you have like this brand new product or brand new service and you're looking for customers, obviously you're going to start a social media, you're going to start working on that. And it's like you can do all that, you can find customers. But also like with that, like keep in mind, this doesn't take away from that. It more just like complements it. You can team up with like me, you can team up with like with my company, you can get your product on the CWT store. And then instead of just, you like working on all of this, now suddenly there's a whole different, company and whole different person that is building your platform. So like you're trying to build your platform, it goes on the CWT store, it starts getting more traffic because the CWT store, like honestly, it's at the point where organically it's getting traffic. Also, I'm doing a ton of like social media work to make sure it gets like traffic, especially like certain businesses. And you're kind of getting like crossed in that where it's like the traffic's going to the CWT store, your business is on the CWT store, it's getting featured. And then like suddenly, just by making the decision to partner your business up with me, you are in front of a whole new audience and you're in front of a whole new customer base. And I think that's something that is, that's something that's like really exciting to a lot of different, individuals. I think that's something that like, I think it's going to come to the point. Now, obviously we're not there yet, but I think we're going to come to the point where when a person starts a business, they instantly apply to get on the CWT store because of all the value that it brings. And the thing is, like over time, like we're getting to the point where it's like more and more value is being created, and the CWT store is becoming a more valuable part of business growth as it gets bigger. Like every single week, we're trying to get to the point where we beat last week's numbers. Like we're trying to grow the store dramatically. And by putting your business on there, you start getting featured, you start getting like the tons of new growth as it gets bigger. And I really do think it's going to be like it's going to become a point where it's like right now it's like, I go to the small businesses, I sell my own service to them and get them interested, and then they get on the CWT store. But I really think we're going to start seeing the opposite, where instead of like me going out there and selling the CWT store, they come to me and like tell me why they should be there. Like it's going to be more, instead of me selling to them, they sell to me as the platform gets bigger. And that's honestly what excites me. Like that's what, working on this company that I've been doing, like this is what makes me like excited about this work because of, like that possibility, because of like the value that I'm creating. Like when I first decided to start the website, it was kind of like, I was kind of like wondering how exactly it would go. Like, if someone's paying to be on the CWT store, like how is it actually going to like get as much traffic to like make it valuable? And it's like over time, like through the social media work that I'm doing, through like the blogging work that I'm doing, to a lesser extent, like the YouTube work that I'm doing, it's becoming like, a bigger and bigger platform. And now that like everything's going on and like everything's like working out, and like with the affiliate marketing work that I'm doing, I'm collecting that data over time. It's just it's really interesting to see like how everything is like panning out. And like, a few months ago, like when I had the idea to start the store, it's really interesting to see like, my idea become reality. And now that that's happening and I have more ideas from the store, I can only assume that, this will also become a reality. Like this will also become something that's like happening, something that's growing. And I really want to get to the point where, I'm successfully I'm successfully accomplishing like all my goals and successfully, turning, because right now it's at the point where if you partner with a CWT store, you're probably going to get a lot more viewers, you're probably going to get a lot more sales, and that's obviously a really great thing. But I want to get to the point where just by being on the CWT store, you're going to get like millions upon millions of dollars in sales. Obviously, a lot of growth has to happen before then, but it's like I've always said, like when I started CWT Business Development, which is my business development company, I've always said that I want to turn small businesses into billion-dollar companies. And I think personally that, as everything's getting like I think I'm getting closer to that goal pretty much every single day. I think that's interesting. Another thing that's happening in the business world that I think is really interesting is the company Roblox. So I have everything pulled up on my phone right here. Let's see. I think I can show the screen, like how everything's going. But let's see if that'll adjust, right? So the company Roblox, debuted on the stock market, currently is worth $70 a share, which is absolutely insane because that gives them a market cap of 38.55 billion, like as of this moment. Keep in mind it's adjusting right now, like Zarya at 70.03. I personally did not invest because by the time, how this like these things go, when you initially IPO, you go to like before someone like me, just like a regular investor, can actually buy a stock, it goes to more important people first. And then by the time they successfully bought the shares, Roblox seemed way too overvalued for what it is. Like a 38.556 now market cap is absolutely insane. Like keep in mind that puts this, which is like I know it's not a game because like I don't personally use Roblox, but I know that it's basically like a platform where you can create games. But it just seems to be way too, I don't know. It seems to be overvalued to me. Like it seems to have already grown so quickly that now if I bought into the stock, I would only lose money doing it. And this is a mistake that I made actually with the Bumble IPO, where as soon as it IPO'd, I invested money into it, and then it went down, and it's never gone back up to what I paid for it. So it's like I've lost, and obviously that's not a problem because I'm holding Bumble like very like long term. But it's like I kind of made that mistake with like IPOs. Like I mean, this happened with Airbnb too, where it's like a lot of times a company will get a lot of hype on their IPO, shoot up, people see their profits, they collect profits, stock goes down temporarily, and then kind of like wait that out before it starts going like back up again. So really, like with Roblox, it's a company that I want to get into because I think kids are spending like so much money like on the actual platform, and I think it's going to keep growing at least temporarily. Like Roblox is definitely not something I want to hold long term, but it's definitely something that I want to like be a part in, especially like right now. It's like all these kids are into it, and it's like they're spending like so much money on this app that I just want to I don't know. I think it would be really good to like collect some of that. And I think obviously this is way too early to speculate about, but I think it could possibly become like a high dividend stock, especially like once it stops being like the game and like, something else takes over. I do think this could be a high dividend stock. So I definitely want to invest into it, but it's not something I want to invest in right now until like, falls again. And that's really, like the only stock I'm really looking at right now. Like I'm trying to, I don't know, the stock market's really scary right now because even though in the past like 3 weeks we've seen it drop like dramatically, and that's been like a problem. It does seem that everything is like very overvalued. Like today was a down day, whereas like pretty much every stock I have lost money today, which is a good thing because that means like should be a good buying day. But it's like even when I look at like my current positions, it's just the stock market seems insanely high, and like obviously you can't predict what the market's going to do. You kind of just have to like put money into it, like hold long term, or at least that's my strategy. But yeah, with this, it seems like everything's like overvalued right now. So most of what I've been buying is like crypto. Like one business that I have been looking at, or actually what I've been doing because I simply just don't have like a good like individual stock that's at a good deal right now, but I still want to put money into the market and grow over time. So one thing that I've been looking at is just like S&P 500 ETFs. Like I'm in like iShares. I'm two different iShares. Is crazy. But I'm in Invesco, QQQ, Vanguard S&P 500, SPDR S&P 500, and it's just like I'm trying to just like put money in there and like have like long term to like put some like stability in my portfolio, because honestly like last year I was so good at just doing like safe investments, which is a good thing, but also you don't make as much money doing so. So I've been doing a lot of like riskier investments lately, and like I think that's exciting, but also like it's a lot easier to lose money that way. So I've also been doing, some stuff like for stability, like just like S&P 500 ETFs, and tech stocks like Amazon, like Apple, like Facebook, Google, that I know I'm not really going to be worried about losing money on those stocks. Let's see. Oh yeah, so this is kind of interesting, but the stock BlackBerry is so with the whole GameStop stuff that's happening, it became another one of those like meme stocks because everyone assumes BlackBerry is like they look at it from the phones, which is what it used to be, and they assume the stock's like done, that the stock's dead. But honestly, I don't think I agree with that statement. Like when I look at, yes, BlackBerry as a phone company is dead, but I think their stock is actually, I think it's a good buy right now, or I'm probably going to wait for it to fall a little bit more. But it's like, so BlackBerry is doing like a ton of like actual work right now, like besides cell phones, and no one really knows that. Like obviously, some like investors know, but like the average person views them as a phone company and like nothing more. So when it looks at what BlackBerry's doing, I think that they're still valued as a failing phone company, and they like no one's taken into account like the new work that they're doing. I'm trying to look. Like they made $1 billion like just last year, which is higher than the year before. I don't know. Personally, with all that they're getting into, I feel like BlackBerry could be a good long term hold. Like I know like Warren Buffett's like whole investing strategy was finding companies that the rest of the like investing world hasn't figured out yet. Like finding companies that are on a really good deal that the rest of the investment world hasn't realized exists yet. And like it's the ones like those that I think are like heavily undervalued are BlackBerry for one. Like I think they're going to be very important for the years to come, and also this really awesome company that I found that I have or that I invested in that I think is they're not doing too bad right now, but I think they're very like undervalued. Like check this out. So this is their like, I don't know if you can see it, right? So that's their like max over time. As you can see, the stock hasn't really changed that much. Like it's gone down, it's gone back up. It usually trades between like $7 to $12. It's gotten up higher before, but it's like I don't know. I think their stock should be a lot higher because they're trading at numbers they're at a while ago. While their revenue, as you can like see here, is like increasing like dramatically every year. Like they're like building in value, and yet their stock price doesn't really seem doesn't really seem to reflect it all that much. Like as it's right now, it's $12.44. If you look at how the stock's been performing as a whole, I think it'll take another dive. I'm honestly not sure though, but if it does, I'm going to buy up more shares because I think this is such a good buy. I think this is such a good company to have, and like they're doing like mobile gaming, and I think that's something that's not going away. Like it's just this is a ridiculously good stock in my opinion. Like back in like 2009, you could have the stock for like 50 cent, and I think that's like, yeah, I would give anything to invest back then. But that's another stock that I've been looking at as like potentially a good buy because I do think we're going to see this go up dramatically, like in value. That's really it for like how I've been investing. Facebook is another company actually that I think is heavily undervalued. So check this out, right? Facebook stock is trading at, it went down today, but it's at $267.51 or 53 cents a share right now. And they have a market cap of $761 billion. But I don't know, I feel like it makes no sense to me why they don't have $1 trillion market cap. Like when you look at the dramatic expansion, like in 2020, like it's unbelievable. Let me see. I'll see if I can show y'all again. It was unbelievable how good the stock did last year. Like I was actually surprised. Like when I saw 2019's numbers, $7 billion, 18 billion in profit, I thought that there was like no way that this stock like would perform like significantly better in 2020. Which I mean, even with the COVID stuff, which obviously gave it a boost because a lot more people were on their phones, so it makes sense that it would boost like revenue. But still, they went up where they made $85.97 billion and took in 29 billion of profit. Like they're increasing their revenue and basically like their profit like every single year, and it's growing dramatically. But here's what I do not understand. So before the 2020 numbers got announced, they're basically trading at the same numbers that they were before then, which I don't see how that can be possible, especially when it's like in the last, let's see, yeah, like in the last like 6 months, like at one point they were trading at $300 a share, which to me makes no sense that they're not back there. Like it doesn't make any sense for me that they were at $300 a share and then fell, and then like the new like dramatically good 2020 like results coming out wasn't enough to boost it to $300. I don't know. I think Facebook definitely deserves to be trading at $300. And to be honest, I think they deserve to be trading at a whole lot more than that. And when you look, 760 billion dollar market cap is like obviously a good market cap, and like that's a ton of value. But I really do think Facebook's more valuable, especially when they have such a strong hold over like social media and also like advertising as a whole, especially like small business advertising. Like as a small business owner, I really don't see a reason I would advertise on anything other than like a Facebook owned service because it's just that good. Like the price is amazing, the results are amazing. And I feel like with such a strong monopoly over like small business advertising, I don't know, especially like e-commerce brands, it doesn't make any sense to me why Facebook isn't $1 trillion company. So I'm putting money into Facebook. I'm putting money into, or haven't yet. I'm trying to see BlackBerry's price go down a little bit more, but obviously I'll be putting money into BlackBerry. But and also like Glue Mobile is another one I'm looking at. Like honestly, after like the past 3 weeks when we saw these stocks take such a massive fall, it really just makes sense to like buy some of these at the dip. But also I have no idea what the market's going to do. It could crash tomorrow. But if you're holding for the long term like I am, it just makes sense to wait. Like it just makes sense to like wait for everything to just like it just makes sense to like put it in there and just like wait for like value over time. Like if you put it into an S&P 500 index fund, you can pretty much be certain that it'll grow around like 7 to 10% every year. If you go on the high side and assume 10%, that means if you put $200 a month into like the S&P 500, you should have $1 million in like 40 years. So basically, with just $200 a month, which is something I feel like almost anyone can do, like if you start at like 20 years old, you're guaranteed to have $1 million by 60. And I think that's something that's I don't know, I think that's really interesting. If you're watching and you have like any questions about anything, like in the live chat, you can just like type a question, send it, and I would actually love to answer some questions. Let's see. I'm actually gonna link my blog to the live chat because I think that there's a lot more information on like everything here. I don't know if you can really see it. But yeah, so there's a lot more like information there about like everything that I'm talking about. My blog is something that I think it was never part of my plan for my blog to become like exactly what it has, but it's become something that is insanely important to like, the growth of my business. Like I've had so much like business opportunities just because of my blog. Like I've done a lot of different like sponsorships on it. A lot of my like affiliate marketing work, like through the CWT store, has gotten traction because of the blog. And when I originally started it, it was going to be a business news site that I made because I wanted to compete with Forbes, Business and Business Insider. Like I basically wanted, and like Bloomberg, but I basically wanted to create a business news company and like compete with those. So if you look at like the early posts that I made on cwtbusiness.wordpress.com, it was all new stuff. And then as I started developing sponsorships and started doing a lot of like different like social media marketing work, I started writing like blog posts about like the clients I'm working with, obviously. And then I started just like talking about like business as a whole. And now the blog has become more of like a personal site for my business. It's become like a way for me to like talk about like all the things I'm working on, like all my thoughts about different things. Like I've wrote about, different investments and everything I've made on there. And it's basically just become like a blog about like the progress like I'm making on a lot of different things. And I really couldn't be happier with how my blog's been doing, especially now that like followers are increasing. We're getting more people to like sign up to like email lists. And it's just, I think starting the blog was one of the best just like business decisions that I've ever really made. That's really like all for this stream. So I don't have like questions or anything. I do want to start going live more often. Like hopefully I can get like more of an audience to start answering more questions as I do it. But I'll try to like always have a topic. So even if I don't get any questions, like I can still like talk for a while. Thank you so much for watching the stream. Make sure you like subscribe to the channel, like the bell, and or like click the bell so you can get all the notifications every time I upload. Thank you so much for watching the stream, and that's really it. Thank you.